let me welcome all of you watching this. And today we decided to come up with a panel discussion and we'll talk more of the good things that you guys want to watch. And today, our topic today, we want to focus much on how you can apply for a scholarship, like an international student scholarship or assistantship, as well as how you can apply for anything if you want to come to the US or if you want to go to another country to pursue your studies. That could be undergraduate or it can be a secondary education, which is postgraduate degree, or it can be a PhD as well. So today I have guests on this, and let me introduce these people to you so you know them and we can get credibility on this. I'll start with you, Shannon. You can go ahead and introduce yourself. What are you doing and where you're from, and anything else you want to share now.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name's Shannon. I'm originally from South Texas, and right now I am in a master's program slash PhD 5-year program at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I'm studying communication arts and specifically cinema studies. Right now, I'm also a TA for Introduction to Speech Composition, where I teach 18-year-olds how to be effective public speakers and write really good public speeches. So that's what I've been up to recently, and I look forward to talking with all of you in the next few minutes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. What's your team? World Cup. Are you watching?
Yes, I am. I was sad to see the USA get knocked out by the Netherlands.
Oh.
I would like to see France win, but I would not be upset if Argentina won either. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. Right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Now, let me introduce to you guys Rachel. Rachel, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Rachel. Rachel Banda, and I have a Bachelor of Arts in Mass Communication from African Bible College, and I worked in the media in places like Capital FM. Then I moved to the education sector where I've been teaching for the past 9 years. And in 2020, I founded the Reading and Writing Clinic Malawi, which supports children to learn how to read and write English. So yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining. I don't take this for granted, but again, our focus today is we should help someone who is interested in pursuing their education abroad. So outside of the third world countries, it can be any country. Like today, we're supposed to have Dr. Salam Dereza. Unfortunately, she's not feeling well. I hope next time she's going to join us. And also, we're supposed to have another person who was interested to share their experience. So today, mainly you guys, Shannon and Rachel, you're going to share your experience so that people can learn from that, because sometimes the process, when you look at the process itself, it's like there's so many things happening and people, they don't know where to start from, or they don't have people who can advise them or guide them where they should start from, or where they should, or what they should do and when. So I'll take advantage of this time that we can talk about that a little bit more in details so that people can get the help they need. And if anything else, I think if we need to extend the time next time, we can also come back and answer some questions that people can ask, if that's okay. So my name is Washington, the host of this panel discussion, and we'll do this for the next 30 minutes. And let me welcome you. If you're watching, if you're just watching right now, I'll ask you to stay there, relax. If you're watching football, that's okay, but you can listen to this. I mean, it's going to be recorded, so you can watch it later. So, guys, my question, Shannon and Rachel, my questions are 2 questions, and I want you guys to be flexible, and to be not only flexible, but you should be comfortable just to share the things that you can share. I'm looking so much into your experience and the things that you know. We've got so many people in third world countries like Africa, for example, that's an instance, who want to come and pursue their education. Just like what Rachel, you're doing right now, coming from the country, the warm heart of Africa, Malawi, and coming here. Tell us, how was that? I should start with asking you, what were the 3 key things that you did for your application to be successful?
Well, that's a very good question. To be honest, it was very hectic. The process is not easy. It's very, it's very nice when someone says, "Oh, I'm going to school," but the process itself is very challenging. So there were a few things that I did that helped me with the application process. The first thing was to tailor my CV or my experiences to what the schools that I was applying to needed. So when I was doing the application, I started actually in May. So that time I had just given birth to our second born child. So like a week later, I started the application process. It was very hard. Being a mom, being a wife, being a mother, and juggling between all those things. But the first thing that I would say was I was committed. So I had a heart that I want to pursue this and I'm going to do it no matter what things I have, like how many things I have to work on. So apart from my commitment, so I talked about tailoring, but I didn't explain. Tailoring my CV was, that was the time that I had to reflect on all the things that I had done. So I had applied to 4 schools. I had applied to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I had applied to Oklahoma State University, Bowling Green State University, and I had also applied to the University of Denver. So if you can see, there were 4 different schools I was applying for different programs, and the processes were just so different. So I had to make sure that I was telling my CV or my resume to fit each application. And that was a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I spent much of my time with, because I was applying for higher education and I had to put experiences that concerned higher education, and I had to apply for curriculum education, curriculum in instruction, or curriculum studies. I had to tell my other CV with that. So it was a lot of work, but in the end, I made sure that I had to tell everything so that everything worked out. And the other thing was, I think I was very passionate about what I was writing about, because it was my story. So I made sure that my story should be very convincing. It wasn't a lie at all, but I had to write it in a creative way that I should convince whoever was going to read to say that, oh, we have to pick this candidate. So yeah.
Nice. So those 3 things, confidence is number 1, right?
Right.
Okay, great. Nice to hear that. I have some follow-up questions, but before that, we'll talk more about the challenging part, because that's what most people complain about, and that's one of the things that makes them to stop doing what they want to achieve at the end of the day. And I always tell people that if you stop doing something, that's the end of it. Don't ever think it will happen. If you want something to happen in your life, you better push on. You better push on until you get it. So Shannon, this is your time. Tell me about this. Coming from Texas, now you're in Wisconsin-Madison. You're teaching as a TA. Is that right?
Yes, you got it. That's correct.
Okay, good. And then you're doing your master's degree. Now, tell me, how was the process for the application? I know you're a U.S. citizen and you was born here, brought up here,
Mhm.
but I think the process is the same. Is that right?
For the most part, it's very similar. There are, to my knowledge, there's a few extra things that international applicants to U.S. schools have to do, competencies that they have to show that folks that are born in the U.S. do not have to do, but we still have to submit the same essays, have to show our resume, tailor the CV appropriately, have letters of recommendation as well. All those are part of the process in applying to most secondary institutions for learning. So
Oh,
pretty
now
much the same.
pretty much the
Yeah.
same, just few differences. Okay, so tell me about the three things you think are the most key, I would say the key things that need to be considered when doing these applications. It can be for someone who is already here in the US, but our focus, we're looking at those from the third world countries. I don't know if you've been out of the US. Have you been out of the US, Shannon?
Not yet, but I am looking forward to traveling outside of the US
We are
as soon
taking
as
you
I
to
can. I've got
Malawi.
my passport.
We are taking you to Malawi, so you can see the warm
I
heart
am
of
very excited.
Africa.
Yes,
Okay,
I
yes.
would love to.
All right, go ahead and tell us those three key things you think one should consider in order for them to be successful.
Sure, absolutely. So first thing I would tell anybody, regardless of where you're from, if you're looking to apply to a school in the United States, first thing is you have to be very organized. One thing that worked for me is I kept a really detailed spreadsheet on my laptop, or get out your favorite journal, have all the dates written down for when you can apply to whatever schools you're looking for. I would keep a list of the cost also for submitting applications. Most schools will have, there will be some money associated with submitting your application. Sometimes they can be waived as well. So if you're looking for information on that, make sure you have who you need to contact, what date you need to have your application waiver ready to go, whatever the case may be. So keeping track of when all due dates are, the cost associated with each school. I would also say make sure that you have on your spreadsheet or your notebook page the names of the professors, the scientists, the researchers that you would like to work with. The more specific you can be to each school, usually the better, because the people who will read your application will go, oh, they've really done their research. They know these 2 or 3 very highly regarded scientists, writers, politicians in our fields, and their work sounds like they would be a good fit for our department. So make sure you have data like that all compiled in a way that's easy for you to understand, easy for you to kind of find and go through, because I promise if you keep all of that organized from the beginning, it's going to make your life a lot easier by the time you actually need to start submitting your application. So that's a big one for me. Stay organized, however that looks to you. As long as you have that information somewhere where it's easy to access repeatedly, you're going to be doing yourself a really big favor by the time the applications are due. I would also say, because one of the big parts of any good secondary application or secondary education application is having good letters of recommendation. So now's the time to start thinking about professors that you've worked with in the past, teachers, maybe prior bosses or people that have overseen projects that you've worked on, things that you've organized. Now's the time to start asking them, to speak with you, to see how they're doing, to reconnect so that you can let them know, I'm looking at applying to Yale or Oklahoma State University in the US, or the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And it would mean a lot to me if you could be a recommender for me for my application. And then they can talk about all the great things you've done, the work you've accomplished, et cetera. So all those things are really important, and they're going to set you apart and show why you're the perfect fit for a scholarship, for a TA position at an institution in the United States. So really, all really important things to keep in mind. They're going to help you be successful.
Perfect. You see, one thing I like about how you have put your whatever you've said is getting organized. I think that's a key, because how will you apply or submit your application when you don't know where to start from? It starts from getting organized. You need to put all your things in order, and then you start from there. And thank you so much. I appreciate for sharing that. Now, my follow-up question is, do you think there is something that can be done to make this process, the whole process, easier? And it could be either from the school side or it can be from the applicant side. So do you think there's something that can be done?
Sure. Let me start. Like Shannon has said, you have to be organized. So I'm talking from an applicant's side of view, that the ball is in your court.
Right.
You are the one who can make a move to win or to lose. So the schools, they have their expectations. I don't think they can put their standards very low, but they have their expectations. So it's up to you to, like an applicant, you have to know, like Shannon has mentioned, you have to know when are the due dates, what materials are you supposed to bring. So if you have everything placed together, you can easily get a scholarship, or you can easily get an assistantship. And another thing is your experiences. What are you bringing on the table?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's not just about you getting a job, right? But what are you bringing? What changes are you going to make in the department? For example, if they are employing you as a teaching assistant or a project assistant or whatever it is, what are you bringing? So you have to make sure that as an applicant, you are always on top of your game. What difference can you bring?
And
Right.
you see, the reason why I was asking that is we going down to the question of the challenges that you meet on the way when you're doing your applications, right? So maybe let me rephrase this question. Let me ask this, Shannon, what is the most challenging step or thing you had to do during the process of submitting your application?
I would say truly, and it's interesting that I'm saying this because my undergraduate degree is actually in English and in writing. For me, the hardest thing for the application process was writing the essays, because you don't know who's going to be reading it, what they're going to be looking for, you know, what kind of state they're in when they're reading your essay, if they're just going to be glancing over it, if they're going to take the time to really go through it in depth. I always found that the most daunting part of the process. And I'm sure other people can relate. There's nothing more terrifying than being told, oh, talk about yourself. And there's just a blank page. What do I say? You know? So that can be really challenging. And I'll say that one of the best ways to make that a little bit easier is to have that organized research to fall back on. Start with what two professors in the department that you'd like to apply to, who do you want to work with? And then write about that for just however long you need. Just kind of get your ideas down on paper. After you've got all of it down, then you can start, you know, selecting the right sentences to include and tailoring your language appropriately. But being able to say why you want to work with a specific professor, a specific researcher, you know, political scientist in the department, or whoever you'd like to work with, that's going to make the rest of the essay a little bit easier to write, so that you can directly tell the university you're applying to, I am really attracted to your program for this reason. I'd like to do this research under this person because their goals fit mine and the work they've done aligns with what I'm interested in. And then you can go from there in framing why, again, you would be a good fit for the program.
So not to cut you, but Shannon, I think from what you're saying, I hear a lot of one of the requirements is to write an essay, right? So there's a lot of writing. Yes. Yeah. So maybe the fear is how can I write better? If that makes sense. People would be worried about how can I, like in your case, you said you didn't know what should I write, who's going to read this, right? So now how can we overcome that fear and to make sure that if we are writing better, we are writing something that will attract attention or will have attention grabber, something like that. What do you call attention from public speaking? What do we call it? Attention.
Like a hook.
Yeah,
good
like
hook.
Exactly. Something that will make someone to read whatever you wrote. Because seriously, I'm a writer, and I'm a reader too. I love to read, and to read something that is boring, it's not. It's you know what I mean, right? You need to
It's not
find
fun.
some substance or some good things or some good vibes. When you start reading the book, you feel like, oh, this book, yes, I think I can keep continuing. Yeah. So how can we help them? People who are not able to write, not able to write, they don't know how to write because they're not used to, which I believe I haven't checked the statistics, but I believe it's a huge number that most of third world countries, they are in that category that they're not interested in reading. Contributing factor could be resources, like they don't have lots of books. The same applies, like I mean, here they have lots of books, but there they don't have lots of books. So how can we encourage them?
Sure. Sure.
Should I go
Rachel,
first?
do you have any
Yeah,
specific
Yeah.
ideas?
go ahead. Yeah.
I do have some ideas. So the first thing that I would recommend is for someone to read the instructions first. What are the requirements? What are you writing about? Because each school, like I said, I applied to 4 different schools, but whatever I had to write were different. So you have to understand, what are you writing? So you read the instructions and understand what you're writing. So writing a personal statement or a statement of purpose, it's very challenging, as Shannon has mentioned. But for me, I think I started with my own story, like, who am I? What have I done? And I had to tell it to the questions that they're asking, because it's so hard to just start writing about whatever you're being asked about, but you have to tailor it, or you have to make a connection between your story and whatever they want. So you know your story better than anybody else. So if you can start from your writing your story, that, like, for me, it really helped me, because I knew this is who Rachel is. These are the things that Rachel can do. These are the things that Rachel has done. And I had to just, make a connection to what I'm being asked from the schools. And because you've mentioned about people not maybe having that reading culture or writing culture, so you are applying with a majority of people and you want to stand out. That means you need to pat yourself on, to give yourself a wake-up call that I need to stand out. And whatever you need to do, you can find resources like on the internet, like, how can I write a personal statement? How can I edit? Because some people can write, but they leave out the editing part, which is like one of those key things that I found to be very important, because it's not just about writing, it's also about editing, because you need to give out a finished product.
Yeah.
So you read the instructions, you write from your story, you edit. That would be my recommendation. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And another thing that I always encourage people to do is they should not be lazy in reading and in writing. Google is my friend. I will not lie. Google has always been my friend. What we do is, if you're not sure of what you're doing or how you can do it, you can simply ask Google and say, how can I write an essay? Or how can I write a personal statement? Or how can I do this? And Google is going to provide with you some examples. And now in the United States, plagiarism is a big deal. I know some people are lazy too. They'll be like, okay, Google has given me this. I'll just copy and paste. Shannon, tell us about plagiarism.
So plagiarism, I tell my students this all the time, just don't do it. I want your thoughts,
Exactly.
not somebody from a random website or blog post on the internet. Because if you're writing or you are telling your own story, it's going to be that much more powerful and that much more engaging for whoever's going to be reading your essay to read. And they're going to be like, oh, wow, this person is really qualified, really passionate about what they study, and would be a great asset to our program. 9 times out of 10, if you're grabbing a random essay from an essay generator or a website that does that, you're not going to get that kind of quality.
Yeah.
And your readers are going to be able to tell. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you're going to plagiarize. Again, give us your thoughts,
Yes.
not somebody random on the internet.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. And I think in your statement, you're not telling them to stop reading from the internet or using Google. They can use Google
Right.
to understand, to know where to start from. But what we want, or what the schools here want, is their own work, not somebody's work. So they can
Right.
read and understand how it was done, and then come up with their own way of doing it. And that's what we're looking at, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll say one more thing. One of the best ways, if you're not quite sure how to get started on your personal statements or your statement of purpose, different schools call it different things. There's no harm in reading example purpose statements,
Yeah.
or if you have friends who have applied, or know anybody who's, gotten an application out for a secondary institution, read theirs, see what they did, what worked and what didn't. When I was applying to my master's degree, I fortunately had, I was still in contact with a few of my TAs and professors from my undergraduate degree, and they sent me examples of their personal statements. And they were like, this is what worked for me. I would change some of the things in here, but let this be a guide, an idea of a good way of structuring your own work. So absolutely, there is nothing wrong with getting inspiration or seeing, successful personal statements that have worked, as long as you let some of their ideas guide you, but don't copy word
Don't
for
copy.
word. Make
Don't
the
do
words
it.
your own.
Yes, don't do it.
Yep, don't do it.
Okay, I wish we had so much time, but I think we're running out of time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give each one of you 1 minute. Maybe you might have something like hot you want to share with the audience or whoever is watching right now. What is one thing you want to leave with them? Let me start with Rachel.
All right. One thing.
Yes.
All right. So this is a hectic process. Just believe in yourself. I don't think I can do one thing anyways. Believe in yourself, and just do what you're supposed to do. Read the instructions, do it on time, ask your recommenders on time, because they have a busy life as well. And one important thing that I forgot to mention before is make sure you have some leadership skills. So it can come from volunteering or anything, but make sure you have some leadership skills. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Shannon. You've got 1 minute. I think you're not going to be able to say one thing, but you've got 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay. If I've only got 1 minute for one-ish thing, I want to let all of y'all know, first of all, congratulations on taking this step. It's super daunting to say, I want to go to graduate school in the United States. Let's make this happen. It's super scary, but you've already done the hardest part in making a decision to go. And the next thing I would say is keep it crystal clear in your mind why you're motivated to study whatever it is you're looking to study in the United States, so that even when things get challenging, you're on your second or third revision of your personal statement and you don't quite know what to say, or you're wondering if it's going to resonate with your readers. If you have that purpose crystal clear in your mind of why you want to study in the US, it's going to make a lot of the other difficult hurdles in the application process a lot easier, and it will make your acceptances so much sweeter.
Thank you so much. And I'm just going to add here that if you've never been to the US and you're still struggling and you don't know where to start from, and as long as you found the school, you can talk to the school advisors. Those people are very helpful. They'll tell you exactly what they're looking for, and you can go ahead and do that. I hope you found this panel discussion more productive and more helpful, and it will make your path or your application path so easier. If not, if you've got so many questions or you've got any questions, please do not hesitate. Contact us and we can come back here and talk more about it. So let me thank you, Shannon. let me thank you, Rachel, for the time that you did this free of charge. You just wanted to share your knowledge to people, and we don't take this for granted. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the day.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Washington. Good to see you, Rachel.
Thanks. See you.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Bye, y'all.